begin this program by saying that there's a basic truth that we can never forget in selling. And that is that the old saying, a picture says 1,000 words, will always be true. And I share that with you because there's another truth that I want you never to forget. That the more of a person's senses you involve in the presentation, the better your presentation. Now keep in mind, if you're just talking and telling, that's a talking face. That's only one of their senses they're hearing. If you're asking them questions and they're talking, that's another of their senses, that's two. If you hand them something that they take and physically hold, that's another sense. If they read what you've handed them, if it's printed, you're involving more of their senses. So I start with that premise because many people aren't aware of a basic truth. And let's begin by realizing this. Selling is not a spectator sport. It must be an involvement sport. That's why the importance of involving as many of their senses as possible is so critically important in great selling. Now I want to caution you on something. I said hand them something. Never hand them anything to read until it's time to read it. Meaning you may have a beautiful brochure, wonderful, great information. If you hand it to them before it's time to hand it to them, they'll be reading it, looking at it, and you'll lose your verbal build of your presentation. You can let them know, John, Mary, we have a sheet of paper here that has lots of good things for you, and I'm going to leave this with you. Don't hand it to them yet, okay? Now here's another thing. I'd love to have you set a goal of getting 3 proof testimonial letters from 3 of your happiest clients. Now the reason I share that with you, when you have a happy client, beautifully if it's on their letterhead stationery, if he's the executive vice president of the company, and he's gracious enough to give you a letter on his letterhead stationery, real credible, real power. And that is so fun. That you will hand them at the right time, where you simply would say, John, Mary, we're so fortunate to have the executive vice president of one of the largest companies in our state, who is one of our clients. And he was so gracious as well to write me this letter telling me how happy he is. Here, now that's the time to hand it to them to read. All right? Also, it's very important that you work on your voice and your speech because there are positives and negatives in our speaking, okay? One thing I'd like you to do is start a goal of adding glamour words to your vocabulary. Now, a glamour word is a commonly used word that adds excitement and more emotion to your presentation. And these are words like unique, exciting, dynamic, extraordinary. Now those 4 words you all know the meaning of, but I will guarantee you most people don't use them. So I'd like you to build these into your actual presentation.